Hi everyone, and welcome to the General Aviation UPRT component of the UPRTA Safety Summit for 2025. My name is Shane Tobin, and I am the Vice President of the GA Working Team for UPRTA, and it's my incredible privilege to be here today to talk and introduce our presentations from our working group leads. But before I introduce Rich and Rob, I'd like to share why UPRTA has really made general aviation a priority for upset prevention and recovery training education and future standardisation. There is a common misconception that UPRT and loss of control in flight is only relevant to the big end of town, high capacity 121 operations and larger 135 charter organisations. Quite simply, it is not. Loss of control is the biggest killer in general aviation worldwide. And when we look at the number of general aviation operations globally, it will become clear why this is an important aspect for every pilot around the world. If we look at these numbers, there is nearly 500,000 general aviation pilots in the United States. Over 90% of the civil aviation aircraft registered in the United States are general aviation aircraft. Over 80% of the 600,000 certified pilots in the United States alone fly general aviation aircraft. And economically, the economy surrounding general aviation is worth 150 billion US dollars and supports around about 7.5 million jobs. Around the world, the United Kingdom has 150,000 pilots, most of whom fly general aviation aircraft. They estimate that in Europe, we have around 150,000 general aviation aircraft. And here in Australia alone, we have around 15,000 general aviation aircraft. All the jobs and all the economies associated with these aircraft and pilots suffer because of the loss of control in-flight threat. This is not to mention the untold social, economic and personal suffering of those families and friends of the loss of control in-flight victims. The other importance of GA cannot be understated. I know that Rich is going to talk more on this subject, but general aviation is the breeding ground for the next generation. Collectively, we need to take that responsibility very seriously. It is incumbent upon us in the general aviation industry to give the next generation the best skill sets available during their training. The laws of primacy and intensity are crucial in mitigating the loss of control in-flight threat. Unfortunately, now we are not doing a very good job of it. The statistics on your screen at the moment show that. Remember that every pilot who has suffered a loss of control accident has had the same or similar training that you have received. So we have to be brutally honest with our own introspection of our own skills and knowledge and accept that there are and will be deficiencies. We don't want to rely on the hope that we don't have to call on the skills that we don't have to avoid or recover from a potential or actual upset condition. Because the simple fact is, if you have a loss of control in flight, the odds of you and your passengers surviving is very small. But on a positive note, UPRT also increases your skills and knowledge that brings a level of excellence to your own operation that other training just cannot do. The General Aviation Team has two working groups. We have the owner-operators and the individual operators groups. Both groups are led by champions of safety and leaders in their industry, and I will introduce them next. The owner-operators group is focused on working with the owner pilots associations around the world. These groups form a critical part of education and safety initiatives for pilots who both own and fly their aircraft. This group is devoted to supporting education and collaboration with owner-operators around the world to crush the persistent LOC-I threat in this part of aviation. Our individual operators group is aimed at supporting those instructors and operators who teach UPRT concepts outside of the larger flight training organisations. These small specialist operators are the backbone of our instructional collective, and we are committed to supporting these instructors and organisations to achieve a UPRT standard across the globe through education and collaboration. Firstly, I would like to introduce the working group lead of our owner-operators, Robert Balzano. Rob is the CEO of the Citation Jet Pilots Association and the CJP Safety and Education Foundation. A retired US Air Force colonel, accomplished F-16 instructor, and NBAA certified aviation manager, he brings in excess of 30 years of leadership across military, government, and corporate aviation. Rob holds type ratings on the Boeing business jet, the Gulfstream G100, and single pilot Citation CJ3 with over 5,000 flight hours, including 200 in combat. He is a US Air Force Academy graduate, a Harvard and UVA executive alumnus, and founder of the Check 6 Foundation, supporting children with serious illnesses and military veterans in need. It is my privilege indeed to be working with Rob on this important project. Now it is my honour to introduce the lead of the Individual Operators Working Group. Now, when I say introduce, this man really requires no introduction to those who have been in and around general aviation in the last 4 decades. Rich Stoll. Rich has been called an architect or the grandfather of modern UPRT. He has specialised in spin and emergency manoeuvre training since 1987 and has conducted an estimated 30 to 35,000 developed spins in his career. He was the 2006 US National Flight Instructor of the Year and the 2014 US National FAA Safety Team Representative of the Year. Rich has authored the books Emergency Manoeuvre Training and Stall Spin Awareness, and also constructed the famous Learn to Turn program for light aircraft pilots. Rich is undoubtedly a global leader in this field, and it is my honour to introduce Rich for his presentation on UPRT for individual operators. Thank you again for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you for the Q&A session coming up after this. And now over to my working group leads.